Hey, we are going to be diving into chapter 10 of The Comeback Effect, Reach for Significance. What an amazing final chapter. You know, I picked the last chapter of the book before we started doing anything with this book, before I even had this book in my possession, not knowing what the last chapter was. And I was amazed because I feel personally that my growth as in my volunteering roles and where I'm at now versus where I started, I feel personally that I'm in the middle of this chapter. Have I completed this chapter in my personal growth? Absolutely not. I'm still working on it, and but this was an amazing chapter about reach for significance. It talks about that teamwork was never mentioned in this book at all until this chapter. And and even though teamwork is vitally important, it still hasn't been mentioned. But through the collective effort of our teams, we can accomplish something far bigger than we can accomplish on our own. And I learned this the hard way, along with Travis. You know, we had a goal, and this is many years ago, before our teams were in place that are in today. We took so many things upon ourselves that we felt we needed to do, and we were responsible for it, and we didn't want to put that on other people to do. But yet we had this idea in our head that we wanted to grow specifically, and it's changed 100 times since then of how, you know, we were going to try to incorporate that growth and how we were going to structure the teams and all that stuff. And we were, quote unquote, like this book's talking about, the all-star versus the team. We had the all-star syndrome, and that is not the right thing to think about and the right thing to have when you're talking about hospitality and the comeback effect. It wasn't until I brought team leaders onto our team, or leaders period onto the team, whether they had the title or not, that I realized the true significance of what a team can do when we all feel significant in the role that we play. And I have always been a policies person, and I'm learning through the comeback effect about hospitality and about people and about values more so than policies. And that they kind of dive into that here a little bit as well. And, you know, the best decision that we made and that God just placed on our hearts was creating these teams and creating the leaders, because a leader in any capacity, whether you have a title or not, is only as good as the people that they surround themselves with. And I just think that's amazing. Now we have an incredible setup team. Now we have people that show up, whether they're in guest services or facilities team or what have you, to help with setups and breakdowns. It's just amazing how we all come together to achieve significance together. But we did stay that way for a very long time before we made that change, pouring hours of work into that job, quote unquote, or that phase of the ministry. You see, at that time, I guess I failed to empower anyone else to carry the torch. And I'm definitely copying right from this book. I wouldn't, I felt like if I wasn't there, that things would just fall apart. I didn't talk to the other ushers and say, hey, would you help me lead this team? Would you help me, take this team to the next level at that time? And it was taxing. There wasn't really any gratification or significance in that, because it was more of a policy / gotta get it done, task. It was very task oriented. So now, when we did start empowering others, I have had the greatest fulfillment in my heart watching others grow. And I didn't feel, and I still don't feel, that I completely succeed as a leader. And I don't even like, really saying, I'm still trying to be a servant So it's really hard to say that I'm a leader when I enjoy watching the leaders. So I excuse the background noise. But I try and I strive to make everybody feel significant through this process. I think one of my kids just got stung by a bee, so bear with me. Mama's on it. Don't feel I'm neglecting the kids. Anyway, the key to a strong team in each member understanding their own significance, both as an individual and in their role. The all-star syndrome plagues many churches and ministries. When you try to hold those things and you have such a tight grasp on those things and you don't let go and you don't pass the baton, then it's impossible for you to grow as a person. It's impossible for me to grow as a person. We have to be able to teach those that are around us what we know, develop those people, and let go of some of the responsibilities and delegate those responsibilities in order for them to grow. Otherwise, they may not ever feel that significance. A lot of things have a tendency or had a tendency to be a need. It was numbers and a need. I need this. I need this many team members in order to accomplish everything we got to do for this service. I need this many people for offering. I need. And I tell you, when it's all about the need and that need isn't fulfilled, it could be, it could kind of weigh greatly on you. And that's just not what this is about. And that when you do that, it doesn't really matter about the people. It's just a number. And that's one thing that I hope that we as a church never do, is treat anyone, especially our volunteers or guests, as a number ever. Yes, we have to take attendance. Yes, we have to do that, but it's not about the numbers. You got to know the numbers to know your growth and to be prepared as a ministry or a church or a business. But we don't ever want anybody to feel like a number. We don't ever want people to feel like they are just checking a box. We want them to feel that significance. Let's see. We are all looking for significance so much that we will even give up good things in order to feel the thrill of importance. I know Pastor did this, and I don't know if this was his reason, but they put a story in here about how some people will give up jobs to go work for a church because of the feeling of significance. They feel like they will make a significance, and they also feel that they are significant. Therefore, they will take less pay to have that feeling and have that gratification, as opposed to taking another job that's paying way more and has all these visions of growth and money and idols that sound wonderful and amazing, but they won't get that same gratification, that same feeling of significance that they would feel for the lesser paying job. In any job someone performs, whether volunteer or paid, they want to feel A, like their work is important, B, like they are bringing something unique and valuable to the job, C, like they're excellent in their job and are the right person for their role, and D, that their leaders and their coworkers value their effort. I hope you know how much I value and we value you. I hope you know that. I hope you know that you are not a number to us. And if you are, let's have a talk, because you guys are not numbers. I don't feel like a number. Yeah, it gets busy and crazy sometimes, and we all, might get burnt out or need refreshed or things, but none of you are numbers. You are all people. You are all incredible people. I feel like I have at least some form of relationship with just about everybody on the guest services team. And if not, let's get to know each other more, because you are not a number. You are somebody of significance. There are 4 things that are keys to feeling significant those were 4 things that are keys to feeling significance in any given role. And when a team member feels that, they feel like they're part of a team that's doing something worthwhile. Thus, they're happy to function in their given role. Now, a lack of feeling significant will look like this for a volunteer. Showing up is enough for them. You just show up, check off that box, and you're done. They aren't actively inviting others to join the team because they're not proud of their team, or whatever the case may be. They don't feel significant enough. They'll see something that needs to be done but leave it for someone else as opposed to taking that initiative. or asking questions. They begin devoting time elsewhere to the neglect of their role, like late night events that cause them to be tired when they show up for duty on the next day. Feeling significant is often the things that turns an unmotivated worker or an unmotivated team into the most motivated person or the most motivating team. Now stop right now, just like I did, and ask yourself, do you feel significant in your role? Do you? Seriously, do you? Do you feel significant in the role that you play in the ministry at our church? Or at your work? Or anywhere? Or do you feel a lot more like a cog in the ministry machine? I felt that way a few times. And I think we may all have felt that way a few times. Most of the time it's unintentional. That's why we all have to be intentional about making every one of us and ourselves feel significant. If you're a leader, ask yourself how your team members feel. Are they merely interchangeable machine parts, or is there a sense of missing out when they have to be absent one week? Is significance a part of your ministry? I really think that if we take this comeback effect in hospitality and significance, and we take all these things and we work on them little by little each week for 52 weeks out of the year, team, we will be the comeback effect. We will have a ministry created on values instead of policies, and we will be able to, move forward and grow a lot easier, and all of us be significant to each other and everyone. How churches see volunteers and how volunteers see churches. I don't want to spend too much time on this, but traditionally churches have seen volunteers as a tool to serve the guest. I'm not going to speak for the church, especially when later on in this chapter, we're about done here, it talks about how ultimately we need to have our significance from God. We pray for our leaders in the church just as we pray for each other. And they're not perfect. We're not perfect. And we just continue praying that their ministry is glorified by God, and that they are a firm believer in the comeback effect, and that we and others, we're not just numbers to them as well. And I don't believe that for 1 minute for our church. It may feel like it every once in a while, but we're human. We're going to feel things. We're going to have these emotions. It happens. So I don't want to spend too much time on that. Creating a culture of significance. We want to make sure that you matter in your role, matter beyond your role, and and that you just flat out matter. It goes beyond the role. It goes beyond your role in your business that you play, or if you're a stay-at-home mom, a stay-at-home dad, wherever you work in your ministry, you matter beyond your role. We want to make sure that as a volunteer joins a team, they should realize first and foremost that they are important in their role. And if they don't realize that, then they won't feel significant, and that's just not going to be good for the team. The ultimate significance comes from realizing they simply matter to God, to the ministry, and to the leadership. The ultimate significance happens when you realize that you are important and valuable. Even if you never did anything significant at all, that's the place a good leader should take them in their identity with God. When a volunteer learns to rest in their unconditional significance to God and to the leader, it takes away the pressure of performance. That is huge. It's no longer an obligation, it's an opportunity. The way they perform their duties becomes a gesture of love and gratitude. Guys, we can use this. Guys and girls, we can use this in our everyday life, and it is amazing. Now, if you're reading this book, I'm not going to read all these, but here are some ways of creating that. Ask, why do people volunteer? Obviously, the answer is to feel significant is what it says in the book, but I take that a step further. And originally, I think that your answer is probably because that's a next step. Your next step is your next step. Ask, how can we focus on enhancing the significance of each guest? What are the needs of every volunteer? Discover the best way to make a volunteer feel loved. Look for ways to be personal. Empower team members. Hold them accountable. Celebrate significance over results. I like that one, and that needs to be something I work on. And then ultimately, your significance in this. Your value is more than what other people say about you. It's more than outward symbols of success. It's more about it's even more about results. We seek God first and we seek his righteousness, then all the other stuff will come along. The value, the significance. You're bigger than your job. You have value right now, regardless of what you may feel. Start seeing that significance and you can start making your team feel significant. You don't have to be ahead of the team to start making your teams feel significant. You don't have to be a pastor to make your teams feel significant. You just have to believe in yourself that you're significant, and then we make others feel significant. The comeback effect starts with you. We have one more week where Travis is going to wrap up this book with a summary. Sorry, this one took a little bit longer. This was the last chapter. I'm grateful you joined me on this, and I hope you got as much out of this reading and this study as I have. Hey, can't wait to see you.